learning about Astro, learning about video and building with video in Astro, and kind of understanding, I don't know, why Astro? What's all the fuss about Astro? What's your experience? Anything with Astro?
Yeah, I'm about one project ahead of you. I'm about two projects in, both super
Oh,
short,
look
both
out.
super minimal. I mean, like it's the same thing, right? You hear about Astro, it's all over Twitter and everything. X. Uh and like the way that folks talk about it, it feels like it's the solution to so many of our problems, right? Web development's getting complicated, Next.js is complicated, Remix is complicated, all of the old stuff is complicated, and like Astro, in many ways, like positions itself as like a fresh breath of air, like super simple, mostly static. I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, I mean, I got excited, right? Web minimalism is like so easy to get behind because our websites are so bloated. Um, but I haven't given it like a real fair shake, so I'm excited to like really throw some stuff at it today.
Content-driven websites. What does that mean to you? Like, is that I don't know, I think of websites, I'm like, I don't know, isn't a website content? But was this
Yeah, the
specific
way that
to yeah,
I
what
think I
I don't
get
know,
what
what's
they're
your take?
getting at here. This is something I think about a lot. There's almost like two kinds of websites. There's like the classic content driven website, which is like a marketing site, which is like a documentation site, which is like a blog. It's mostly like text, and you'll like sprinkle in a little bit of JavaScript here and there. Maybe you need something like animation in the sidebar. Maybe you need like a little like code sandbox or something. And then on the other side of the coin, there's like applications. Like that's your traditional like Stripe dashboard or something like that. Something that has graphs, something that has like all sorts of panels and forms and everything that's like constantly fetching data, just like really complex. I get the sense that Astro doesn't want to be your dashboard solution. It just wants to be your blogs, your marketing sites, your agencies, your e-commerce, your portfolios. I see as we scroll by. um,
Yeah, timely. So
and
are
it's
we gonna
nice to
have
have that kind of focus, I think.
are we gonna have trouble with this then? If we what we're needing to do is upload some videos and build some endpoints here, I guess, to manage some server side stuff.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like building video, especially what we're thinking of building today, like an uploader and a playback, is like starting to tread a little bit into like the application world. Uh, that being said, look at what Astro has released in the last few months. They've released Astro Actions for like submitting forms. They've released Astro DB for like persisting data. It feels like more and more Astro is like inching into the application territory, or like making your content sites have like a little bit of application flavor. Um, let's see how they're doing.
Okay, so this you sent me this post.
Mhm.
Admittedly, I kind of gave it a look. I conceptualize actions to be kind of what people are talking about with actions these days of like uh let's take an action. Let's respond in some way to some kind of interaction. So I made some assumptions about what Astro actions truly means, and maybe it is that sort of interactivity side of things or handling submissions in some way, but I don't know. I kind of felt like maybe we'll just dive in and find out if that is exactly what this is going to solve for here.
For sure. Yeah. Let's see what
Um,
their actions do.
so
In
to
React
use
19, an action is anything that the user initiates that's asynchronous. So, like if they submit a form and it needs to talk to the server and then the server talks back, that's an action. But then there's also this whole world of like client side actions and everything. It's this really broad term in React. Let's see what it means in Astro. I see you're scrolling around. What are you seeing?
and this is starting to like some of this actually kind of looked like what is it, Zod? Like these are like
That's right.
almost
I
actual
I
Zod
read this
imports.
morning too. They have Zod built in as like
Oh, I
a
see. Okay.
primitive. It's amazing. Are you familiar with Zod?
Yes, I've used that in some experimental projects that I've worked on before, but it was interesting to see it coming directly from an Astro package that it's like
Right.
white labeled version, the Costco version of Zod.
Uh, for the viewers at home, Dave, what is Zod?
Zod, maybe we should even bring that up. Zod is basically ways that we can introduce type safety to unstructured data, really. So if you have an idea of what these dictionaries that you're working with are going to look like, maybe it's like a third party API that has some kind of response that you are expecting, and but they could change things without you knowing, and you want to kind of validate that whatever that object is that's coming in meets your expectations. You can kind of run that object through this validator to confirm that sure enough this object kind of looks like what we're expecting. Is that your use case for it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I totally get why they used it here on forums, because forums are exactly like what Zod's made for. For a forum, you kind of expect to have like, I don't know, a name and an email. And the user, like, sure, you only put a name and email form in front of the user, but like users are smart. They're clever. They can like add extra HTML elements and like throw random stuff at your API. Zod is a really good way of like making sure, did the user actually send a name? Did the user actually send an email? And do they look like what I expect them to look like? If not, throw an error. If so, have type safety. So like Zod makes perfect sense for validating forms on the server. I totally get why they did it.
Yeah, and just as an aside, one of the ways I'm remembering now that I had implemented this before was to actually validate from a LLM the response that you expect to be JSON,
Yeah.
but you never really know what you're going to get as a response, right? So if you keep yelling at the LLM, maybe we should call them M&Ms, in your prompt to say like, only give me a JSON object as your response, it most of the time will, but sometimes it might not, right? So what you can do is get that response and then in your code programmatically validate that that response does actually meet your criteria. And if not, throw an error or do a retry and maybe send that request again until it actually does pass. So that was a pretty interesting way to implement that sort of validation as well.
That's a killer use case for Zod.
Fun facts. All right, so this looks interesting. I think
Mhm.
we got to write some code because I'm kind of slow on that side, and I'm going to need your help in the on the guardrails here to make sure we don't write too many bugs.
All
We
right,
got
let's see what
50
we can
minutes
do.
to build video upload and playback into an Astro application. I started to go down the path of installing Astro using this npm create, and I was going to have this preset up ready to go, but their install was so fun that I had to just cancel and show it here. So I'm gonna blow this up a little bit. First of all, I don't know how it knows my name. It must have pulled that from like some kind of local file somewhere,
Wait,
but
seriously?
it was like welcome. Yeah, let me do that again. Watch. Welcome to Astro, Dave. What?
What?
Unless is that? Oh, is this just like the Dave version? Do you get this too? Maybe it just
You
says
can
Dave.
probably, maybe you can add your name. Maybe it's pulling it from like the local Git, like because you put your name on like your local Git
Or
commands, right?
what's that quote? What's that quote that's like, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to do that, Dave.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're thinking of 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah, maybe there's some reference here and it's coincidental. I don't know. You'll have to try
That's
this on your
awesome.
end.
Oh, yep,
Anyway,
it's got my name. It's got my name. I bet
oh,
it's
it
getting it
does.
from like Git or something.
Dude, so crazy. Okay, I loved it. Launch sequence initiated. Where should we create your new project? We'll go with the default here, square spiral. How would you like to start? Sample files are empty. What do you think?
Let's start with a template and kind of like start modifying it from there.
All right, we'll go
I feel like
sample
that's a really good way to
files.
learn.
TypeScript. Let's go. How strict? We're streaming live, so I'm relaxed. It's Friday. We'll go relax on that. Install dependencies. Initialize a new Git repository. Sure. Okay. So I like this. It's kind of an interesting, like visually
That's a really
interesting
nice setup.
way to kind of step through. I think there's some notes that we can take here for some Mux stuff. Actually,
Hmm.
let's see how this goes.
It's a really nice little gradient there.
Now I am on some AT&T, not so great internet, but
That's brave to live stream.
look, you only live once. Okay, but we hopefully won't run into any sort of issues with this dependency install. This is kind of interesting. Normally you get like some kind of progress bar here, but there we go.
There we go.
Good luck out there, astronaut. Liftoff confirmed. So we want to go into the directory npm run dev, just like we are used to. And look at this. Okay, add frameworks like React or Tailwind using Astro add.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
so
is
it
the
comes
thing
with
that took me the
one.
longest to wrap my mind around Astro. I think that they really like position this as a feature. Although I have mixed feelings that you can just write in whatever framework you feel like. You can write in Svelte, you can write in React, you can write in Vue, and you just have to like add it with Astro add, which is super interesting approach.
That is interesting. All right. Well, we're seeing kind of a bare bones directory here. I'm going to do npm run dev. I'll pop this thing open on. Actually, hold on a second. Close that. Open this up. in our VS Code, and then go back here. All right, 4, 3, 2, 1. I love that little countdown before blast off here. Welcome to Astro. We're up and running. Okay, so I'll just get this out of the way for now. Go back to our VS Code. Let's take a look at what we got here. So in terms of the directory layout, kind of seeing what we're used to seeing. We have a components directory, we have layouts, there's pages. Maybe this is like the application sort of shell here. And then looks like you can kind of slot in your different pages as I'm guessing as you kind of route around the app here. Do you want to install the recommended Astro extension? Let's go. Come on, baby. Nice. Welcome to the club. Okay, so there's the layout. Here's the index. Is probably what we're looking at on the home page here. We have a gradient, some cards, and this is kind of interesting.
At the bottom.
What was that? Style?
And that style tag at the bottom. I wonder if that's scoped, kind of like Svelte. I think it is.
Yeah, so kind of looking like this single file component sort of approach. And then this code fence here at the top is kind of wild looking too. So I'm wondering what we can all do within that, but we will find out. Here's a component for Astro. Has some type definitions. We have the HTML. We have the style. Again, right in line. I did like that approach when I first ran into that single file component approach. I think that was like Vue. Was it Vue 2 or something like that? Awesome way to kind of like keep everything in the same place, but still scope it down to that single component. I thought that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we also need to have, when we're working with Mux and we're working with video, we're going to be needing to upload a video. We're going to be playing back a video, and we're going to need some credentials to be able to connect our uploader to the Mux account. So we have to figure out in the documentation exactly where we want to throw. I'm guessing it's a .m file somewhere, but we'll make sure we get that in the exact right spot. So why don't we head back to the docs and see what we can see. Man, the sidebar has been acting kind of funny for me. Whoop. Come on, Arc, baby. There you are.
There it is.
Okay, I got 2 of these now. All right. Astro.build.
Sick to me.
Okay, install Astro. Editor setup, upgrade. Why? Should we read the why at all, or what do you think?
Yeah, let's poke through.
All-in-one framework. It includes everything you need to create a website built in. There are hundreds of different integrations. We have islands. Now, what was this islands? Is this like maybe you can define that for me, but I remember seeing like a year or 2 ago that being kind of touted as like the next thing in component land. But is there, how do you view that?
I think people were getting a little sick of the idea that when you made a React app, that like all of your React shipped to the client. So, you know, even in like server-side rendering for like Next.js or something, you run all the React on the server, and then the React gets like sent to the client and then runs again on the client. That's a huge amount of code. And if you got something like an H1, a paragraph tag that only runs once, like, why are you shipping that to the client? So this concept of islands was like, what if instead of shipping all of the code for your website, what if you only shipped like little islands of code where you needed interactivity? What if you opted into client-side reactivity, client-side interaction? What if you like had little islands of client-side code? Now, of course, nowadays we have React server components and React client components, which kind of feels like a response to this whole islands movement. But yeah, I mean, Astro was like definitely part of that wave of islands that was happening a few years ago.
The wave of islands. Some kind of like surfing thing going on in there, but we'll leave it at that. Project structure, kind of describing, I think, what we were seeing there. Astro configuration file. Did we see that? I don't remember.
Yeah.
And here's a common directory. Okay, so source. This includes Markdown, so it has some kind of processing for your Markdown content, or maybe if you're just expecting to write, you kind of choose your layout for that. Pages, special kind of component. All right, so I'm thinking that we're kind of on the right track here, just with some of these guesstimates of what all these files are used for.
Right, right. I think so too.
So migrate to Astro, connect to CMS, routing. Should we jump right to the guides, or where do we begin here?
Well, what do we need to do first? We need to upload a video, right? And to upload a video, we need to run some code on the server to generate an upload. And then we need to send some code to the client so the client can upload to that generated upload. So we need to figure out how to like run code on the server to generate a page.
Middleware. Interesting. We have data fetching as well. That's an interesting place to start. And we also are going to need the Mux SDK installed to be able to connect to the Mux account as well. Now, that's probably just going to be your typical NPM install to get that added. But there's like some interesting crossover here when I think of this, like, I was introduced to this Astro ad concept, and I don't really know what that's doing under the hood, I guess, or what the difference is there.
Yeah. So, I mean, like we started out in like a .astro file, right? So, like by default, Astro can write these .astro files. They're basically template files. You got a code fence at the top. You've got like the markup, and then you've got styles. And like you could live in .astro files forever. You can even like send .astro files to the client and just run some like vanilla JavaScript. But mostly like they want to meet people where they are. So mostly like people who are writing client side code want to run like React or Vue or something, which is probably why you'd like Astro add React or Astro add Vue. Now, like most of our code is on the server, so I don't know if we're gonna have to Astro add anything.
Yeah,
I guess we'll find out.
I think we'll just. You're right. I think we'll just kind of go into it here and see what we can run into. All right, so server side. Let's see what we find. We got routing.
Data fetching feels promising.
I think you're right. I wanted to see here in terms of pages, the index Astro is
Yeah.
what we're seeing. And I think it's just making, so this is like file based, right? So based off of what your file name is, you're going to get the route as a result. It's a really nice, interesting pattern.
Nice. I do love file-based routing like that.
All right, data fetching.
So we need to hit the Mux API to create an upload.
Yeah. So just as the overall flow here, we can talk that through too. But the first on the page load, what we want to do is create, it's called a direct upload. Basically, it's an endpoint that will allow you to choose a video file on your machine, or the user that's using the app to choose a video file. It'll get uploaded to that generated endpoint that you will receive as a result of making that direct upload request. And once that upload finishes, then we're going to want to basically kind of wrap things up and turn that from a direct upload into an asset so we can play it back on the playback page. That's high level what we're trying to accomplish here. Look, so we have some kind of like co-located import in just JavaScript that's running right in this code fence here. So this is kind of what seems to be happening also on the server side.
Oh, this is a really useful example here.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to just so we have something to kind of go off of, I'm just going to copy this, head back over to our VS Code index. All right, we have this. We don't have all of those components yet, but what we're trying to do is make a fetch request. What they're getting is the response from this random API. And then here's the object that they're getting as a result. So kind of similar to what it is that we're trying to do. What we forgot to look at was the environment variables. So let's find out make sure we know how to do that too. Environment variables.
Nice. They've got a guide for everything.
Okay, we got Vite under the hood, built-in support for that. While all environment variables are available on the server-side code, only environment variables with public are available on client-side.
Love
so
when
that's
that
good
happens.
News. And then here's the kind of gotcha that I want to make sure that we get right is this import meta env. I think I've definitely spun some.
Yeah, this isn't process.env.
Spun some wheels on this sort of thing. All right, so we just want a .env file and then import it with this approach here. So let's do that. What we have here is some temporary, Mux credentials to allow us to connect to a temporary environment over on Mux. So let me get those put in here. Not a big deal if you guys take advantage of that. That's on me. That's going to look bad for me, and you don't want to do that to me. So
40 minutes to spam our environment.
Yeah, have fun. Upload your temporary videos now before these credentials disappear. Okay, so we have this .env, and then we want to import it here. But we also, while you were talking before, I installed that Mux node library that we can leverage as well. So I'm going to import Mux from Mux node, and we'll set it up here as well. So let's see if it gets this right. Process env is not what we want. We want this import meta env. Now, would that have picked it up automatically? Mux token secret. What are we getting yelled at here?
Oh, you're passing 2 arguments. You got to pass like an object.
Whoops.
To, yeah, token ID and token secret. There you go.
Come on, you know what I want. You know what I want. It doesn't know what I want. Okay.
There it goes.
So we have the Mux. This is how we're instantiating the Mux node SDK, and we want to get that direct upload information. So what do we do? So we're going to await, make a call to the Mux dot. Man, how are we not getting any sort of...
Astro talks a lot about type safety. So, I mean, I would assume they have a pretty good like TypeScript integration, everything. Is it like
here.
Copilot fighting? I feel like mux.video is what we're looking for. Oh yeah, there we go.
It's just me being silly. Okay, mux.video
Nice.
dot
uploads
create. And what does this want? A body.
It's gonna want new asset settings.
So what's all in new asset settings? Let's see here. So we have new asset settings. We have, is this a test video file that just gives you the opportunity to kind of play around with the API without experiencing any sort of charges? It's going to limit the video to, I think it's like 10 seconds or something like that. And we'll delete it automatically, but really great way to kind of just make sure that your integration is working without worrying about any sort of billing. And then new asset settings is kind of the dictionary that we need to define to say exactly what we want to apply to this video. We have encoding tiers that's going to give you different qualities or different resolutions that are available for the playback of this video. There's opportunities to set up auto-generated captions and that sort of thing. All kinds of things that can be defined here, but we're just going to take the easy route and specify the bare minimum, which here is not too much. We'll get a playback policy.
I think that has to be an array.
That's an array.
Yeah.
Format this up a little bit. And we'll do an encoding tier. And the baseline one is a very easy one that'll just get us up and running really quickly for free with free encoding. So what am I getting yelled at here about? CORS origin?
Yeah, CORS origin is required. I don't know if that goes, I think that goes outside of new asset settings.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it show up there. All right. And what's CORS origin?
I was hoping you'd explain. These are the websites that are allowed to upload. So, I mean, like, because you have an asterisk, that means like anyone can upload to whatever upload bucket you're creating here. If you were to be in production, you would say like www.mux.com kind of thing.
All right. So we got to upload. Maybe we should log this out, make sure that we're getting what we're expecting to get here. And here's what's kind of interesting too. We don't have to return anything, right? It looks like we can just kind of use the information that we need to write in the component below without any other work. Maybe, question mark? All right, let's give this a reload. Oh, where'd my app go?
4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. See if anything happened.
Cool.
Look at that. You got an upload.
So yeah, we have a URL. This is the endpoint that we're talking about. This is where basically the video is going to end up. And here's how long this upload URL is valid for. It's waiting for us. Let's get going. So there's also what we need here is kind of two parts, right? We need the ID that we're eventually going to exchange for the asset. And we need this URL. So this is what the client is going to have in place to be able to know where this upload is going to go. So knowing that, some in different frameworks, I would have to like return that in some way or pass it. But in here, we can just kind of use it. It looks like right out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna get rid of that stub code. And what about this nice layout?
Is gone.
Probably crush it. Crushed. Welcome
Nice.
to Mux. Ship it. Production ready. Okay. All right. So what's next? We have upload URL. I actually didn't even look at how they use this. Is this going to work?
That feels right. Curly brackets.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So we need the upload. How do we upload to Mux? Seems like it's going to be a lot of work.
Well, we're not in React, so maybe we use Mux Uploader.
Right. We're not in React. Mux
If we were in
Uploader.
React, we would use Mux Uploader React.
See, think about that. Think about that. So there's two different approaches here. There's Mux Uploader, which is built using. We need a web components graphic that I could throw up on the stream right now. That is just going to work wherever we are, as long as we're on the web. Even if you're browsing on a Tamagotchi. Actually, I would put an asterisk next to that. I don't know what the compatibility with web components on Tamagotchi are, but we don't have to worry about all of the different fussiness of wherever you are in a JavaScript framework. It's just going to work. But then there's the React version, which we have used in the past as well, which provides kind of a wrapper, the React wrapper around the base web component. Although, do we need that really with the new React 19? I don't even know. Maybe you know.
No, yeah. We still. Oh, yeah, that's right. React 19 supports web components. I think we got a blog post coming out on that.
See? Get in there. All right. So upload videos, upload from a web app. We're over here on the Mux docs. This will just get us going here nice and quick. Here's the HTML element. You could also, I think, just use the CDN version. I don't know. We'll install it. Why not? So going to go back over here. Add it to our project.
I get the feeling this is when it's going to get interesting. Astro has these really strong opinions about like nothing gets shipped to the client unless you opt in. And this is the first time we're shipping something to the client. So I wonder, like, what are we going to have to do to make sure? Because this is actually exactly what I'm worried about. Like, you're importing Mux Uploader right there, but that code stays on the server. How do you tell it to go to the client?
All right, let's just see what a traditional setup would look like, which is literally just adding this tag, right? So I'm gonna copy that. Go back over to our editor and let's throw it right underneath our upload URL. Welcome to Mux. Yeah, I mean, we're not seeing what we should be seeing there. So what do we do?
How do we ship code to the client? How do we ship that npm import to the client?
Yeah, I want to force this. I want to force this guy. Imports anywhere. Files in public. Import statements. Okay, now we're entering the territory where I just start saying random phrases and sentences out loud, which is never a good place to be with me.
More talking about the bundler. I think we want to find some sort of docs on islands. Like, how do we create an Astro island? Because that's what we want here, right? We want an island of client-side interactivity.
Astro Islands. Sounds like a lovely place. Most developers create an island. Okay.
Nice.
So client load.
Let's just say client load on a component. Nice.
So would I also add that to a web component?
No, you'd probably have to make a separate file like uploader.astro and then do the import at the top.
All right, let's try this out. Components, we'll call it uploader Astro. Do I need to do that code fence stuff, or is that only if I'm doing extra?
No, you still got to do the npm import, right? So that's going to have to live in the code fence.
Yeah, all right. Okay. What are we doing here?
Good job, Copilot.
Okay.
All right, this is feeling promising.
And then if I want this in, looks like I can take a pretty similar approach here. Uploader. I'm going to get rid of this one. And we'll call this uploader.
And then you got to send it to the client.
Oops.
Which is nice.
Client load. All right. Whoops. Here we go. Now, is that here or does that go in the island?
That looks correct. I mean, I think you're creating an island by saying client load. You're saying like, hey, everything below this directive gets shipped to the... Well, I thought I was right, but I'm not seeing an uploader.
I'm not seeing an uploader either. Component is now interactive. Rest of your website remains static. Source pages index. UI component created an island. What are we missing? Where the chat? Where the chat at? All right, so you can mix several on one page, stripping out all the client-side JavaScript automatically. Turning any static UI component interact only requires a client star. What's the star?
Means like there's actually a couple different directives. There's that client load, and then you can like lazy load and stuff.
Idle, visible.
This really feels correct. Will the uploader show any UI if you haven't passed like a URL to it? I think so.
Yeah, it should still render. I'm kind of wondering if like this import without assigning it is in some way causing us any issues.
Just to make sure that it's getting shipped to the client, let's stick like a console log in the top of our little uploader.astro.
That looks good. Uploader, client load.
Client load.
And what are we getting yelled at here?
Whoa, uploader's an Astro component. Astro components do not render in the client. Oh, so we have to use a framework. So we have to use React or Vue or Svelte or do this in like vanilla.js. Hey, you know what? I think the first time I did this in vanilla.js. I think that there's a way to...
Yeah, it seems like we shouldn't have to install React to do this in some way. So there's something here that we should be able to kind of short circuit.
I think one thing we can do is like actually just use the script tag.
Like CDN version or what?
Like back in your like index.astro, you can have like a literal like, well, script. Actually, CDN's not a bad idea, but let's figure this out. I think you can like script and then like in the script tag import Mux Uploader.
Okay, so I'm going to do this.
Trying to code with words. Yeah, except the script tag would be like down in your HTML, not in the code fence. Nice. And then I think you still have to do client load on that.
Client load, but what we're getting here is the web component, right? So Mux Uploader.
You have to do client load on the script tag.
Oh, I see. Client.
I am moderately confident of this.
Didn't love
coming
that.
from my poultry experience.
All right, so let's see what happens here. Any luck?
Yeah.
There's something. Okay, so what did we learn there? I learned that I got confused. Ultimately.
Yeah, so Astro's components are server only.
So because it ends in a .astro file, this is only ever going to run on the server. And if we want to do some kind of client interaction, we can either rely on, this is just like the browser native importing process, right? It doesn't really consider Vite in any way, or maybe it does. I don't know.
I have no idea what's going on there. We could actually check the HTML and see what happened.
All right. Pop this open here. Mux Uploader.
And then is there a script tag anywhere in the body? I don't see it. So I guess Astro kind of figured out what we wanted here.
Yeah.
I think after the live stream, I'm gonna go back and like review this code. We'll publish it in a Git repo and kind of get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
This is mysterious indeed.
I wondered if that was just a browser native import or if Astro was still doing something kind of magical under the hood. Either way, we're here. We have it rendering, which is good news. So let's go to the next step. What do we want to do? So now we have to take this upload information that we've been logging out and throw it as props or attributes right here on the web component. So the main one that we care about here is making use of that endpoint. So we have the endpoint, and even for this, we have, can I pass just the upload URL like that?
I think this is how. Yeah, this feels Astro-y.
Okay, so there we go. We're seeing it appear.
Nice. There's the endpoint.
There's the endpoint. And we can get rid of this URL here, but we also do have this ID that we need to do something with as well. And that's upload ID. Okay, so now that we have this endpoint installed on the Mux Uploader, we're basically ready to upload this video, but we need some also some additional information here that's going to allow us to, once this video is uploaded, exchange it and make sure that we have the information we need as a result to be able to play this video back right away. So what we've done before is have a form, right? Where we then, once this upload is complete, we basically submit the form, or you can have some interaction. If you usually imagine like a video upload happening within an application, you might have a title or a description or some additional information that the user would fill out. They can then click a button to submit the form, which would finish up the processing on the server side. So we can kind of implement that same approach here as well. So if we wanted to take a form, and this is where the action stuff comes into play, right? If we have a form in place and we want to be able to do some processing with the result, what's the move here?
Step one, we're going to create a form, right? The form, and it's going to have like a hidden input, which has the upload ID, and it's got like a button to submit it, right?
Type hidden.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Good job, Copilot.
Good job, except for this, I think. I don't know, maybe it would have worked without that too.
Yeah, and then we need a button, which will be something like watch a video, right? Because after the upload's done, people are going to want to watch the video, so they hit the button. And then that button's going to be disabled until the upload's complete.
Disabled.
And then the last thing we want to do is write that action that form's going to like submit to.
All right, so let's find Astro. Actions docs. Where you at? We got integrations built.
Yo, I'm not sure actions are actually in the docs because they're experimental.
Oh no. So there are no docs. We're just YOLO living. Let's see. Blog.
There's the release notes, yeah, and then like I remember I was reading this morning at 4.8. Yeah, I was reading this morning, and it linked to the RFC rather than the actual docs. So
to use this feature, add a server build output and enable the experimental actions options in your Astro config.
So by default, Astro sites are like exclusively like static. If you want to actually like have a server running your Astro site, you need to like explicitly say hybrid or server in your config. So when you say hybrid, you mean like, hey, everything's static except for a few things. When you say server, you mean like everything is actually generated by a server. So this Astro can cover like server-side rendering, static site generation, whatever. Single page applications, does it all.
Okay, so what's our value here then? What are we looking for?
Hybrid. I don't know. We should probably check the docs on that.
Module can have multiple default. Well, it does.
Excuse me, Mr. ESLint.
What?
There we go.
Keep up. Okay, here we go. I'm not using that. Let's get rid of it. Okay. Then define actions in a source actions index.ts file. Oh, here we go. Always love when they just get me started somehow. Source actions index ts. Source. So we don't have an actions directory. I'm going to create it. Actions. And we call this index ts. Define action. Newsletter. Nah, it's a video. Accept a form. And what's going on in this form? We have a upload ID, which is going to be a string. And there's no promo.
That's it.
Handler.
Oh, look at that type safety. What?
Okay. Call a mailing service or store to a database or
whatever.
Whatever. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Love that. That was amazing.
No. What do we actually do with the upload ID? What are we actually doing here?
All right. So yeah, what are we doing? So we have once we have that video uploaded, we need to basically get the information about what is the asset that was created on Mux as a result of uploading this video. When you create this initial upload URL, we just have the direct upload. We have the ID of the direct upload, and we have the URL of where the video is going, but we don't know anything about everything else after the fact, what happened when that video was uploaded. And we need to get that information. So we're going to exchange that direct uploaded ID to get back the asset ID. Am I explaining that in a way that you're following?
I think so. The upload ID only tells you about the upload. Now you want to get the asset, which tells you everything about the video.
That's right. That's right. So, all right. So we have, we're going to be doing some additional Mux node stuff here. So I probably could have set up a reusable sort of,
meh,
thingy, but yeah, meh. Okay. So we're going to do
That's
import.
why we have copy paste.
Yeah. Whoever invented copy paste deserves a raise. Was that Tim Berners-Lee? All right. So we have our library created here. And assuming this upload ID, maybe I logged it up before, but it's usually just kind of a random string. We're just going to take that and make a request over to Mux to receive the asset that's correlated with that ID. So that is
what? I think it's retrieve, not get.
That is pretty good. Video. So what do we get here? So take a look. We have a particular asset ID only set once the upload is in the asset created state.
So that'll be like after your upload's complete.
That's right. So what are we going to do with that then?
And then after you have an asset, right, if you want to play it back, we have yet a third type of ID. We have the playback ID. So
yeah, so we're going to take that asset ID and kind of expand upon it so that once we have this ID back, let's make the request to get the full details about the asset. So we'll have asset, and then let's take a look just really quick at what the TypeScript types are saying here. Look at all this additional information. So we have the aspect ratio, duration, uh, all of your different links available if there's MP4 support enabled. There's also pass through, which we didn't really talk about, but there's the opportunity to associate metadata with any of your video uploads as well. So if you need to kind of track something throughout the cycle or the journey of the video upload, you can throw it in that. That's just kind of a string of your choice, or you can kind of serialize a JSON object there too. So all kinds of stuff here that in particular, the one that we're going to care about is playback IDs. So when we're creating this direct upload, if you remember, we specified that we want this asset that's being uploaded to have a public playback ID associated with it, or a playback policy associated with it. That public playback policy, it's a lot of P's, means this video can be played anywhere. Nobody has to have any sort of special permissions to be able to view it. There's different policies that you can put in place to kind of lock down and protect the video from being viewed by just whoever. But in this case, we're going to use the public playback policy. PID.
nice.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to say playback ID equals asset playback IDs. And since this is going to be the only playback policy that we created for this asset, we can assume here the playback ID is going to be the first entry in an array. And, I don't know what happens with this success true response here. Does this go back to the form? And so I have no idea.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you can like client side enhance the form and like actually like get the data to return from the form and like do stuff with it on the client. We don't necessarily have to get into that. We just had to figure out a way to like redirect to the playback page.
All right, so I'm cleaning up just a little bit here so we can kind of simplify and see what's going on. We have the endpoint, but how do we know what to do when the upload is complete?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, if you want to like actually attach events, then it's got to happen in an island, right? Because this code has to like run on the client. Well, you have your island where you npm import, right? Where you import Mux Uploader. Maybe you can just add some more code to that island.
Here, is this what you're saying?
Oh, you don't even. Yeah, if we send that script to the client, we can say like we can attach like an event to the Mux Uploader element.
Interesting. Okay.
We need to know when Mux Uploader is successful, when it's done.
Yeah. So what is the event that we're looking for here? Let's find out.
On
here.
success. That's what you're thinking of.
On success. I'm gonna see if we can bring
yeah, that'll tell us when the upload's done.
Oh, it's here somewhere, I promise.
Maybe if you just search for the word success. Think about success, Dave.
Success. Failure is not an option. Success event.
Oh, it's not on success. It's just success. Cool.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is what we're looking for. You can probably just copy that code directly. Nice.
Boom. All right. Man, one of those folks over at Mux that are writing these docs just make it so easy for us to do this.
Good job to whoever wrote that doc.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously, good job. All right, so we're querying the document. We have add event listener. We're listening for the success event, which is going to be fired off if all goes well with our upload, that we can then handle the updating of this form. So in this case, we had it disabled, the button disabled. So we could potentially find the button and remove the attribute for disabled. Man, this is really flexing my vanilla JS.
Vanilla, yeah.
It's been a minute. Let's see.
So yeah, I mean, that code's going to have to run after the Mux Uploader element exists in the DOM. So you're going to have to move that script down.
That's right. Interesting. Okay, so let's do let button equals query select.
This is the only button in the DOM, yeah. Nice.
Oh, man, see, look, this is why we have robots. I'll put that here. Button disabled is false.
Is this going to work the way we expect it to?
Watch video. Yeah, we're going to find out real fast.
We should probably console log out the see if the query selector succeeded. In like line 33 or something. Not even like on success, maybe just like see if we're even capturing Mux Uploader, see if this code's even shipping to the client. I was thinking something in like line 33.
Okay. Buttons. All right. Here. Let's go back. See what's going on. Yep,
Hey.
we do have a button.
Nice. So I guess when you use a script tag, you don't have to do any of that like client load stuff. It just gets loaded.
It worked. Yeah, there's a little bit of magic that's happening there that truthfully I don't understand, but
yeah. I feel like we'd really have to like sit down with that like Islands philosophy document and like some of the docs and understand what's going on here.
All right, so let's upload a video. You know, I don't even know what I got here, if I'm honest with you. Move with text.
8 megabytes.
Larry, this guy, yeah, this
What
is the
going on
video.
here?
This is the video. Okay, so I'm just clicking upload and we're sending it over to Mux, supposedly, right? Let's see what's going on here. Upload is complete.
On success and the button enables. Yeah.
On success fired, the button enabled. Now, when I click this, is it going to do the thing? Did we wire that up in any way? No.
No, we forgot to attach the action to the form.
No, yes, correct. So we got to go back to the, because I don't actually know how to do that. We got to go back to the docs. Oh gosh, cursor, come back. Okay, we can call actions from any client component using the actions objects from Astro actions. Okay, again, it looks like we can pretty easily kind of copy paste here. I'm really hoping we don't run into any sort of strangities. Is that a word? Strangities. Get action props. Okay, so we have a method of post
and just the on submit.
This is looking good. All right, form.
And is that gonna just work? Oh no, that looks like it's React code.
It does.
Can we attach that to like, oh, what a pain.
Wait a second. Upload. What do we call it?
Do this in vanilla as well.
Upload. What do we call it?
Video.
The action. The video. Goodness, of course. And it has no suggestions for me. All right. Upload video.
Cool. And then we're going to need to attach it with vanilla, not with an on submit prop.
Okay, so fine. Let's do it again. I don't know if you know this, but I can write vanilla JavaScript. Let's see. Let form equals.
Nice.
See that? Let me show you how it's done. Let me make sure that's looking right here. Async, prevent default. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. However, I don't think that. Cannot find name actions.
Cannot find name actions? So do we not have access to, or maybe you have to import in the script tag, not in the code fence above. Import actions from master actions in the script tag.
Yeah, that's a little scary, but let's see if that works. Did I do that? Okay, here we go. Import actions. Was get action props even used anywhere? I don't know.
That's for like progressive enhancement. I don't know.
Okay.
That'll like maybe give us the success if the form succeeds.
All right. Well, it's loading, right? There's our ID. We're going to upload another Larry video.
Let's go, Larry.
Move with text. I really want to play. Maybe we'll leave this live stream with that video. I don't know the copyright details on that, so maybe not, but go Google Larry McInerney. Okay, so watch video. Is this going to do what I hope it does? Uh-oh. Failed to validate.
Failed to validate. Received null. So we're passing the form data incorrectly? Huh, what a pain. Form data e.target. What are you getting? Oh, and you're just passing the form data, but the action that you wrote on the server doesn't expect form data. It expects a JSON object.
You know, I wonder if we have just a difference in the casing here. Would this make a difference? Let's try that.
You might be right. I might have overcomplicated that. Let's see. Let's go, Larry.
Larry. This person is incredible writing professor. I think they're retired now from the University of Chicago, but has some amazing YouTube content. Highly recommend checking
Success
it out.
true. Playback ID. Nice.
Sweet. So this did exactly what we wanted, and even better, which I think is kind of neat. Not related to this whole flow, but that you can return from the action and it just comes back as where did I log this out? Or was this in the action? Maybe I logged this in.
Yeah, where did you console log that?
Let's see. I didn't.
Return.
Did I? I didn't. Did I? No, I did. Right here.
Console log result. Nice. And instead of console log, we can redirect.
That's right. So would we redirect from this code or the action itself? Like, do we redirect here?
Yeah. Is there a server-side redirect? I mean, like, ideally, you would return like a 302 or something, classic form. But, I mean, we have the thing on the client side. Why don't we just, like, redirect on the client side?
All right. Redirect. Again, I'll turn around. Here we go. So we have our client value of that playback ID. It's in result dot. I'm assuming it's here. I'm going to forget playback ID. Yep. And we want to redirect. So that is window location.
Nice.
Is not this. It's probably just
except maybe instead of there, let's redirect to like stream.new or something.
Ooh, I like that idea. In the interest of time, stream.new, and I think it's v result playback ID. So what is stream
playback ID.id? Playback ID is an object, ironically. Yeah, there you go. Right. Whoa, was that type safe?
Let's see. Sure.
Yeah, it is. Wow, good for Astro.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. A better name would probably be playback policy for this, but whatever. Here we are. Okay, so href, is this going to do the thing? Let's find out. Upload video. Larry, move me, open.
All right, prof.
Watch it. Loading player.
Yeah, there he is.
That's the man, the myth. Can I play it? I probably shouldn't play it.
All right, Dave, real quick. What's stream.new?
Stream.new. So stream.new, the reason why we're magically seeing a video player out of nowhere, and we kind of we're out of Astro territory now. We're kind of lost the styles, the amazing styles that we made for this application. But stream.new is this open source code base that sort of allows us to view any video that we have the playback ID for. That's public playback policy on Mux for just accessing in an open source hosted way. So we have this code available at stream.new. It's on a GitHub repo that you can kind of browse and peruse, but it will take that playback ID and look up the associated video and load it into a player without you having to do really any additional work on your end. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. We redirected that as a little shortcut. So we didn't have to write the player code in the Astro app, but all of that's totally possible as well. Obviously, we just actually a pretty similar approach. We're using Mux Player and the web component version of that. How do we do? There were a couple moments there where I wasn't so sure about Astro, at least Astro in a time, in a 1 hour time box. But as we kind of worked through, a lot of that made a lot of sense to me.
It feels like Astro, like almost by design, doesn't want you shipping code to the client. It's like a little hesitant, but then like the script tag magically worked. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. Pretty cool though.
Yeah, when I think about like what we considered this content, or how did they phrase it on their homepage? Like the content websites versus the application or slash like dashboard type of websites that require a lot of interactivity. I do wonder what maybe this future of using actions and as it gets documented within Astro, if this is a viable option for that sort of thing. But it does feel like there were some kind of like hoops to kind of jump through to make sure that we had the interactivity that we were expecting for kind of the heavier lifting. But I don't know, kind of cool. But I would wear my Astro helmet, my astronaut helmet. I was trying to think of like all the different Astro references, Astro jokes. I don't have many. I was thinking about Astrophage. I don't know, AstroTurf. But anyway, we did it. Success. I'm glad we have this asset available to us. Hopefully we can kind of revisit this code and get it in a place where we have an example available for y'all to continue to browse, explore, and keep building with all of these different frameworks of your choice. Any last wisdom from you, Dar?
Astro is interesting. Actions are pretty neat. Keep an eye on our examples repo for this code without the bugs.
Was there bugs?
I don't know.
Wait, I didn't write any bugs.